as a member of what's often called the dismal science. I'm now old enough to be called one of the worldly philosophers, or as Keynes put it, referring to people like me, madmen scribbling in the air. Over these many years, of course, I've been witness to, lived in and through many business cycles, lots of upturns, booms, busts, bubbles, recessions, bull and bear equity markets, good and bad policies, oil price shocks up and down, striking unexpected geopolitical, political, policy, and market event shifts and changes in behavior, several technology revolutions, changes in the way monetary policy operates, going back to Arthur Burns, G. William Miller, for those who might remember him, Paul Volcker, Alan Greenspan, and Ben Bernanke. And I've seen the emergence of globalization, war and peace, and more recently, and recently to me is a decade long, 9/11, the war on terrorism, the economically and financially difficult first decade of this century, financial crises and crashes, particularly the last one, the Great Recession, and very, very recently, a new Arab Spring, the disaster in Japan, China as the second largest global economy, another negative oil price shock, and the killing of the mastermind of September 11 and father of terrorism, as we, especially those of us who have worked in New York, have come to know it, Osama bin Laden. And what a surprise where he was. Our office in New York was in One World Trade Center. That is until September 11th, when it disappeared along with the collapse of the tower. This is where I principally worked. And I will never forget the people, ordinary Americans who worked in that building, many of whom were never seen again. Perhaps it's my age as an older American. I call us young, older Americans, I call them YOAs. But I don't think so. Don't we all notice how rapid, compressed, and intense now are the changes in the settings on the economy, in financial markets, the events, data, and policies that impact markets, the evolving technology that has sped things up so that what used to take years, then it took months, particularly in financial markets, are now compressed into days, hours, and someday, I'm quite sure, seconds and nanoseconds. So today, let me take you on a trip, a quick one from on high, a broad brush survey through the United States and global fundamental macroeconomic and financial markets settings that sets the backdrop for our industry, looking at and beyond the data and nitty-gritty of financial markets, although we will stop there to talk about them, but also looking at some patterns and tendencies that are relevant to markets, but that raise other and some deep questions relating to the longer run prospects for your firms and our industry. On this trip, the shorter run 2011-12 view is relatively good. Cyclical economic expansion and improving U.S. economy and jobs market, much stronger non-U.S. economies than the U.S. Equity bull markets, rising but still low interest rates, U.S. and worldwide. A weak dollar, but perhaps stronger later. Not without risks, a lot of minds in a minefield of risks. But at the same time, this shorter run, while improving, is quite disappointing, at least for the United States, not what we want it to be or are used to seeing. And the longer run prospect, particularly for the United States, a longer run prospect that is problematical and troubling. First, let us travel over the business cycle backdrop that we now sit in. For those of you who have access to Table 1 in the handout, you don't need it. I'll take you through the highlights. Expansion in the U.S. and global economy. Who is in expansion in the business cycle? Why do we care? Well, expansion is a great part of the business cycle. It's the best part of the business cycle. It's the longest and best phase of something we technicians call the business cycle. It's the time when the economy or an economy is growing, jobs are growing, earnings are rising, stock prices are going up. It's a time of resilience to shocks and problems. The patient is healthy, up and running. The processes in the expansion make an economy resilient. You can hit it and hit it and hit it, and it doesn't go down until after it's gotten a lot older, developed a lot of excesses, and sets up for the next downturn. It's a good place to be.